Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ben and JV from JBM Sports Media, and here we are continuing our MLB season projection series right here. And today we're heading towards the NL West. And yes, we are going to be talking about the San Francisco Giants here today. As always, just to inform you guys how we do it, we talk about the lineup first, then the starting rotation, then the bullpen, and finally we finish off with our over/under for the team in 2026. JV, I'll let you start off. Talk to me about the San Francisco Giants lineup you see for 2026.
It's actually a pretty solid lineup, not for nothing. Obviously, you talk about the bottom of the lineup. That may be tough when it comes to, producing some runs, but Bader's not horrible. Bryce Eldridge, hopefully you can get some type of positivity out of him. And Patrick Bailey is a pretty decent hitting catcher, so hopefully you get some offense out of him as well. But, I mean, Luis Arraez is definitely going to get on base when it comes to, putting contact, bat to ball. He's a good contact guy. Doesn't strike out, obviously, like I said, so he'll be able to facilitate that offense a lot. And obviously, Devers, Adames, and Chapman are the three biggest guys when it comes to the money that they've invested into this offense. They take up a bulk of that payroll. And obviously, you got to get the run production from them. If you don't get run production from them, after 5 and 6, with Holy and Ramos, what's going to happen when it comes to the 7, 8, 9 guys? You're not going to really try to, ask for a lot of RBI chances or potential out of those three guys. I don't see a lot of it happening. So 1 through 6 is going to have to be the meat of this order, which it is, and they're going to have to produce a lot of runs. I do see that they could have a strong year. It's just going to be up to the bottom of the lineup to me to have to produce just as well as that top. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, the addition of Luis Arraez obviously is a decent addition because you know what you're going to get with a player like Luis Arraez. He gets on base with his singles. Sometimes he stretches out to doubles. But at this point in your career, yeah, I mean, in his career, you know what you're going to get with him. Rafael Devers is kind of interesting. They do have him listed as a first baseman because while he was taking some reps at first base last year, did not look the best for them. I got to be quite honest. Willy Adames, pretty good shortstop. Matt Chapman, one of the best defensive shortstops in the league right now. So I think right there, Willy Adames and Devers and Chapman, like you said, that's going to be a big bulk of their offensive production. Jung-Hoo Lee and Heliot Ramos, two solid players. Heliot Ramos, who you could say could potentially take that all-star leap as well. Very high on him. Harrison Bader was a decent addition for center field. I think he could do very good there, more so defensively at center field at Oracle Park. And then Bryce Eldridge, I think, honestly, he should be the first baseman, and Devers should be the DH. But I will be very interested to see how he'll look when he officially makes it to the big leagues. Patrick Bailey, probably the best defensive catcher right now in the league. His offense still needs to come around fully because I haven't been that high on it. But defensively, he, without a doubt, is the best defensive catcher in the league. So, in general, I do like a lot of things about this lineup, if I could be quite honest. It's just, like you said, once it gets to 7, 8, 9, where's that production going to be at, throughout the whole season? Maybe it'll be good for a few weeks and a few stretches of it, but the whole season, that's going to be a little bit of the questionable part. Like, I get where you're coming from. I do like, I think Devers, with everything that he went through last year with the Red Sox debacle, I think it's going to be a great bounce back year for him, just momentum wise, getting settled right there in San Francisco, getting everything going. So I do like that for him. Willy Adames, who had a pretty solid year for them, hitting obviously 30-plus home runs there. I think that was a great year for him. And Luis Arraez, I'm going to be very interested to see how he impacts this lineup here in San Francisco in that ballpark. Could he stretch out more doubles, maybe even a triple every now and then? It's going to be a very fascinating thing to see when it comes to this lineup.
Yeah, and they have some decent platoon flexibility too. I like the fact they have Drew Gilbert and Gerard Encarnacion. Those are two guys that you could potentially plug in when you have to. So they have some decent platoon options there. And like you said, 1 through 6 is going to be the meat of this order and the meat of this team. That's where you're going to see the most production, the most damage. If you can get anything out of Harrison Bader, I know he's got some offensive upside as of late, where he's been hitting a little bit more for average. He has some pop, but he's there for defense. He's there to bring some defensive stability to that outfield. But if you can get anything out of him offensively, I think that should take some pressure off the 8 and 9 spots. And like you said, I do think Devers and Eldridge should possibly switch. But I'm guessing they're trying to appease Devers by putting him in the field. He probably wants to play in the field. Obviously, he knows he's not going to be a third baseman because that's Chapman's spot. So you probably have to throw him at first just to make him happy at this point. That's how I feel about it. But I could probably see a flip-flop every now and then. They switch Eldridge out, put him at first a couple of nights, and put Devers in that DH spot. But I feel like we're going to see him a lot at first the majority of the year.
Yeah, and who knows if he turns or starts becoming a liability at that position, then it could be a
Right.
very interesting discussion point as the season progresses. Even though I do like Chapman and Adames in that part of the infield, Luis Rice being at second, I think that's going to be a little bit of a liability as well, if I could be honest. So we'll just see how that progresses throughout the year. But Bader, good defensive pickup, and we'll see if he could bring at least some contact with his bat. Bailey, good defensive, obviously catcher, one of the best, if not the best catcher in the league defensively. So I do think that there's some bright spots in this lineup. Now switching over to talking about the Giants rotation here, led by their ace Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, some free agency pickups right here in Tyler Malley, Adrian Hauser, and they do have rounding out the rotation Landon Rope. So, JV, what do you think about this rotation right here?
Well, listen, I love Logan Webb. He's been a solid veteran piece for this rotation for a while. He's just been super consistent in big games. Robbie Ray's a high impact guy, that could possibly give you a lot of innings as well and get you through a lot of starts into the sixth and into the seventh. I think he's a guy that can give you some longevity. Tyler Malley and Hauser, they're middle of the inning guys. I'd like to see how Tyler Malley pitches in that middle of the rotation. And Hauser was a very good addition for Tampa Bay last year. I think he won like 7 of 8 starts, when he first got on with Tampa Bay, and he looked really good. So hopefully he could bring that to San Francisco's rotation, rounding out that 4 spot. And Roop here, Layden Roop, is just an emerging piece that I think is just going to have to, just get some, flow under his belt and get some starts under his belt where, he could round out in that rotation, fit nicely. So this rotation does have some questions. I think the most questions are going to be 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, how they're going to round out and how they're going to do. So I do think that it's going to put a little bit more pressure on Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. Can Robbie Ray stay healthy? I know he's had some health issues in the past, but I think he's good enough to be in that 2 hole when he's healthy. I think he's formidable. But if 3, 4, and 5 can stay healthy, I think they'll be able to be okay. So I think they'll be all right in 2026 if they can stay healthy. That's all.
Absolutely. I think Robbie Ray, like you said, he's had his injury concerns. Same thing with Tyler Malley. Adrian Hauser, can he replicate what he did last year with the Rays and White Sox? That's to be determined, obviously. Logan Webb is Mr. Consistency, a very underrated starting pitcher in the regular season. So I think you know what you're going to get exactly from him. The other, I guess, 2, 3, 4, 5 are a little bit of a toss up because I don't know. I just don't know what version of Robbie Ray we're going to get at this point in 2026. I mean, I could be 100% wrong. I just think it's still up for grabs more so. And Tyler Malley, we're going to see how he bounced back because he had an injury last year when he was with Texas. But same thing with Adrian Hauser. Is he going to be the same as he was with the Rays and White Sox? I just don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Listen, it's going to be tough. 100%.
Questionable. Yeah, it's questionable.
I mean, they do have some. They have some pieces that they could plug in too, though. Like their depth is not bad when it comes to pitching. They can maybe get Blade Tidwell in there. They got Hayden Birdsong. I mean, they do have some pitches that they can maybe hopefully use as depth pieces. I think they added JT Brubaker, which I know is not flattering, but I watched him as a Yankee. He wasn't too good, but they have some pieces that they could rely on just in case there's some type of injury or some type of shakeup that they need to make.
Yeah, and like you said, maybe at some point that's going to be what happens right here. Maybe they're going to need a plug-in piece for at least maybe a few weeks, especially if somebody goes down or anything like that. But yes, now it's time to get into their bullpen for this year. And yeah, this is a weak bullpen. There's no other way to put it. This is a weak bullpen. Obviously, losing Randy Rodriguez to Tommy John, that is brutal. And then no more Doval here. I mean, look at this right here. I mean, they have Ryan Walker closing, Eric Miller in the 8th, Joel Piguero in the 7th, Jose Butto, former Met in middle relief. I mean, Gregory Santos, I think he was a former White Sox. Matt Gage, Spencer Bevan. I mean, man, JT Brubaker, you just mentioned him right there. This is a brutal bullpen right here, I'll be honest.
So, I mean, so Brubaker could be like, look, he's listed as a long relief. So he could give you innings if you need to give him, some innings out there. Like I said, he could start, and obviously he could give you some length in like a 5th inning type of thing where a starter gets pulled in the 5th. He can come in and maybe give you 2 or 3 innings. Ryan Walker, I think, is the best bullpen guy in this bullpen. I'm going to be honest with you. I think their closer is their best piece, which is unfortunate because who's the bridge to get to him? I mean, how consistent is Eric Miller going to be? How good is Joel Piguero going to be rounding out the middle of this setup rotation that they have with Miller and Piguero there? Jose Butto, I mean, he was okay as a Met, wasn't overwhelming. But showed some signs of some consistency at times. Gregory Santos, what are we going to get from him? And then you have Matt Gage and Spencer Bivens and Brubaker. it's just not really overwhelming and it's not really eye popping. And like you said, if they could get to that rotation early, it's not good because these are the arms that you have, to fill in for 4 or 5 innings, and that's probably not good if you're the San Francisco Giant fan. You don't want to see these guys coming in early in games because that means you're probably going to have a long afternoon. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially how Peguero and Miller do bridging that gap to Walker.
Exactly. It's not ideal at all. I think this is that and the D-backs. I mean, that could be crazy, but even I remember the Rockies video we did, they had a little bit more bright spots in their bullpen compared to what I'm looking at right here with this Giants bullpen. I think there's going to be a lot of misses in this bullpen, to be quite fair. It's tough. It's tough because, like you said, what if those pitchers can give you a quality start? And now you have to tap into this bullpen a little bit earlier than expected. That's where it gets a little bit interesting for the Giants, and I feel like that's where their offense is going to have to do a little bit extra to secure a W. So I think I'm very interested to see this over-under line right here
Yeah,
because
me too.
considering rotation, lineup, and bullpen put together, here it is right here, brought to you by FanDuel. Their over-under win total for the 2026 year for the San Francisco Giants is 80.5. JB, what do you have?
83 and 79. I kind of had an idea that it would be anywhere from 78.5 to 80.5. That's what I was feeling. So I'm kind of glad that I was in the ballpark. So I'm going to say they get 2.5 wins more than their projected total, going at 83 and 79. I think that's totally fair. I think they could run into a few good weeks where they could get their record over 500 and be able to be maybe a threat in a wild card spot. I don't know if 83 wins is going to be good enough for maybe a third spot. I'm not too sure. That may be cutting it close. I think you need more to 86 to 87 in a third spot when it comes to this NL this year. So I do think they get 83 and they finish a couple of games over 500. That's just how I see it. I think their rotation is better than that bullpen. That bullpen is horrible. But hopefully that bullpen does have a couple of good weeks where, they get this team over the hump and get them to where I think they could be. So I'll say 83 and 79.
Yeah, I think I'm barely going to have them getting the over. I'm going 81 and 81 for them, so barely clipping that over, but it's going to be a very narrow one, especially let's say one of those starters gets hurt. Man, you're threading very thin water at that point.
True.
So I don't know. We're just going to see how it plays out. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I will say they will go over by 1 game exactly. So me and JV right here both go over for the San Francisco Giants over under total, going 81, and he goes 83. So right there, we kind of agree. I mean, there's troubles with that bullpen that is going to be significant throughout the whole year. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Are we being too rough? Are we being accurate? Let us know. As always, make sure to subscribe here to JBM Sports Media on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and IG at JBM Sports Media. Till next time, we'll catch you guys later.